I was standing at the corner of the pub on Kavanagh. It was 4 to 10 a.m. Men were waiting at the bar when I heard a siren wailing and a droning from afar. Red Zeros coming in from the blood of Pearl Harbor. Then the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. We fought them from our rooftops with mates that I once knew. But if you weren't in Darwin, how could you have a clue? When the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942.
And a lonely Wirraway scrambled for the sky. It never had a chance to challenge, never got the chance to fly. She was blown to smithereens right before my bloody eyes. Australia was at war and Darwin was the prize.
Then the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. We fought them from our trenches with mates that I once knew. But if you weren't in Darwin, how could you have a clue? When the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942.
At the end of Stokes Hill Road, 16 wharfies lay, their bodies burnt and battered in the fire and oily haze, while out there on the harbour the Menunda was ablaze, as the Peary and Neptuna disappeared beneath the waves.
Then the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. We fought them from our bunkers with mates that I once knew. But if you weren't in Darwin, how could you have a clue? When the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942.
On the 19th of February 1942, 188 Japanese aircraft bombed and strafed Darwin in 2 separate attacks. They killed or wounded over 600 people, and the attacks went on right across the top end for another 21 months. Darwin itself was bombed on 64 occasions, but news of the attacks was censored by the government to prevent panic in the south.
Did they know it in the south, what we all went through? Did it spread by word of mouth, the things that we all knew? The day they bombed old Darwin turned the top end upside down, but the battle lines were drawn away from Brisbane and the south.
Then the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. We fought them with our broomsticks for the likes of me and you. And yet here in Australia, did we really have a clue about the bombs that rained on Darwin in 1942? I never thought I'd see our blood on the Frangipani, or tears streaming down the face of a dear old Chinese nanny, as a trace of bullets screamed from the cannon on their wings and ripped our flesh and bones apart, tore at our heartstrings. 'Cause the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. We fought them with Lee Enfield for the likes of me and you. And yet here in Australia, did we really have a clue? When the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. When the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. When the bombs rained down on Darwin in 1942. And I hope I never see our blood on the Frangipani.